Hello, my name is Leslie Carrero, and I'm the Division Manager for Water Production with the City of Asheville. We are very excited to have the opportunity to engage with you today. Unfortunately, due to COVID, we were not able to gather together in person to provide you this project update as we had originally planned. However, we are pleased to have the opportunity to leverage the city's new virtual engagement hub and are thankful to still have a way to reach out to you. Just a few reminders. Today's meeting was pre-recorded, so there is no way for you to engage directly with us during the session. If you are just coming across this information for the first time, please be aware that when we released the meeting notice, we requested that participants submit any questions that they might have in advance of the session so we could be sure to cover them during the project update. If you missed the opportunity to pose your question in advance, don't worry. At the conclusion of this session, if you still have questions, you can simply contact us. The City of Asheville has had a project page for the North Fork Dam project throughout the life of this initiative. On this page, you will find a wealth of information about the project and the improvements. Prior to this engagement session, we have conducted several rounds of engagement sessions and also have kept an ongoing frequently asked questions document. This information can be found on the city's webpage. I will share that web address with you in a moment after we complete our introductions. Finally, it is important to stress that for security purposes, we are only able to share a limited amount of graphics and photos of the dam and the improvements themselves during this session. I would like to take a moment to acknowledge all the individuals who have either helped with the actual construction of the project or with the communication pieces. David Melton, Director of Water Resources with the City of Asheville; Brenda Mills, Neighborhood and Public Engagement Manager, City of Asheville; Polly McDaniel, Communications Specialist, City of Asheville; Mark Landis, Project Manager and Engineer for the Spillway and Embankment Improvement Project, Schnabel Engineering; Jeremy Knighton, Division Chief for Emergency Management, Special Ops, City of Asheville; Nate Pennington, Buncombe County Planning Director and Floodplain Manager; Van Taylor Jones, Buncombe County Emergency Manager. So the purpose of this session today is to spend a few minutes reviewing the importance of the emergency preparedness and for you to know your individual risks and your role in being ready when disaster strikes. We will also share some resources with you to help you be more prepared, as well as tools that you can sign up for to increase the flow of information coming to you regarding potential weather-related threats. We will provide an update on the North Fork Reservoir Spillway and Embankment Improvement Project that is nearing completion, and we will cover a brief recap of the project scope and objectives, an update on where we are in the project schedule and an anticipated completion date, talk about the changes to the flood operation plan. The goals of this session. Coming out of this session, we hope that you will have learned a lot about the importance of emergency preparedness and the tools that are available to you. Gained a clear understanding of the North Fork Dam Improvement Project, its purpose, and the completion date. Know how to find the city's webpage on project efforts. After today, if you have additional questions and you need to reach us, please use this link. It is my pleasure to introduce Jeremy Knighton. Jeremy is the Division Chief for the Emergency Management, and he's going to spend a few minutes talking about the importance of knowing your individual risks and how to become better prepared. Jeremy, over to you.
Hi, everyone. As Leslie mentioned, my name is Jeremy Knighton. I'm the Division Chief of Emergency Management for the City of Asheville Fire Department. I'm excited to be with you today and talk about your role in emergency management and how imperative it is that you act as your own emergency management and as a part of our emergency management team. While units of local government, such as the city and the county, play a very important role in crisis and emergency management, it is imperative and so much more can be done prior to the times of crisis than in the actual situation, and preparation starts with you. Emergencies can happen at any time, and Asheville has a rich history of climate-related impacts. Major floods in 1916 and 2004, landslides, nuisance flooding, wildfires, and the record drought of 2007 and 2008. Asheville is also facing other stressors, like pressures from population growth, increased infill and development, and desire to preserve a sense of place. As we all continue to navigate the challenges, changes, and complexities from the myriad of external factors, it is important that we all look at possible risks from your own point of reference and determine how better to be prepared for potential emergencies. The 2020 hurricane season is upon us, and the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, NOAA, has predicted an above-average amount of activity. With multiple climate factors and forecasting centers indicating above normal activity, proactive personal preparation is extremely important and can go a long way in preventing the effects from a weather-related disaster. Hurricane season runs from June 1st to November 30th, so there's no better time than now to get prepared. We all need to make an emergency plan today. By being prepared, the first step is assessment. Being prepared is a year-round activity, and potential emergencies can come in all shapes and sizes. However, like I mentioned before, the most common we experience here in our area are flooding, wildfires, extreme heat, landslides, the occasional tornado or strong winds, and now, as we're all familiar, a pandemic. After you understand your risks and develop a plan with specific strategies to mitigate, the three main focus areas we want to talk about is your family, your neighborhood, and your workplace. In 2019, the City of Asheville and the UNCA National Environmental Modeling and Analysis Center, NEMAC, released a study called the Climate Resilience Assessment. This study also included the development of a climate resilience resource guide, which was created to aid citizens with understanding their potential risk based upon their location. This resource guide also provides strategies to help you prepare accordingly and lessen those impacts of future extreme weather. After you understand your risk, you need to develop a plan with those specific strategies in mind to mitigate each risk specific to your household, work, or environment. Once your plan is complete, you should revisit the plan and your emergency supply kit at least once a year. Rethinking your needs every year ensures that your kit is up to date and makes sure your family's needs are taken care of as those needs change. Don't forget to consider and address the potential need for your pets as well. Again, the 72-hour kit of food, water, and supplies, and how to do that is available at ready.gov/kit. Store your items in an airtight plastic bag and place your entire disaster supplies in 1 or 2 easy-to-carry containers, and make sure they're in an accessible area in your home. Please remember to check these items several times per year as things expire and go out of date. Prepare your family. Create and update that emergency plan and make sure that that plan is communicated with every member of your household. We want to share these plans with other members that may live outside the home, and especially with next door neighbors and other folks that could help in times of need. The next step is preparing your neighborhood. Involve your neighbors, plan with your neighbors, and help neighbors get informed. Talk to your neighbors about their preparedness plans. If you're a part of a neighborhood or a civic association or homeowners association, make sure your emergency preparedness is on the agenda at your next meeting, and talk about evacuation plans and other potential mitigation measures that are available. Help neighbors get informed. Connection is the key in an emergency situation, so we need to establish those lines of communication with local government, the National Weather Service, and others prior to times of disaster. And lastly, prepare your workplace. Have emergency contact information for all your employees. This can help with accountability prior to, during, and post-disaster. Designate emergency personnel, organize procedures, and host disaster preparedness meetings, even brown bag lunches, to talk about your preparedness. Get a NOAA weather radio and put an updated copy of the facility's emergency plan on everyone's desk. Showcase instructional videos, and once again, make sure that this plan is distributed to all that are involved. And then at least once a year, make sure we're exercising and doing drills to carry out this plan. The resources I've mentioned in this presentation are available on several websites. FEMA, FIMAN, which is the Flood Inundation Mapping and Alert Network, and also the City of Asheville Resource Guide are available by clicking on these links. Some other resources that speak to preparedness, weather, and warning are available here on this slide. For more resources and continued information on weather and preparedness, utilize these links. Also, in order to be informed, we must stay informed. Identify where your closest emergency shelters are, download the Ready NC app, and also sign up for AVL alerts by going to asheville.nc.gov/AVL alert or calling 211. AVL Alert is an emergency and non-emergency notification system. This system enables the City of Asheville to provide you with information you want to receive via the communication methods you choose. By enrolling in the system, you are automatically subscribed to emergency alerts. During the registration process, you'll have an opportunity to choose from a number of non-emergency subscriptions. At any time, you can log into the system and change your contact information and opt in or out of subscriptions. Also, sign up for Buncombe County alerts. Through Buncombe County, you can sign up to receive emergency text directly from the county for breaking health and safety news. Text BC Alert on your smartphone to 888-777 to receive alerts on important information such as floods, communicable disease, county office closings, and relevant traffic safety notifications. You can also follow the city and the county social media channels on Facebook, Twitter. Establish an emergency communications plan, as well as helping your friends and family communicate with coworkers. Staying connected is all of our jobs. In conclusion, since none of us can reliably predict the weather and how might it impact us in the future, the City of Asheville encourages each of you to examine your individual situation, know your potential risks and exposures, become informed, get prepared, and stay connected. Everyone must do their part, protect themselves, their family, and their property. If you have specific questions about emergency preparedness, you can follow us on social media, go to our asheville.nc.gov/fire website. I appreciate you taking the time to consider these important preparedness tips and resources today. At this time, I would like to turn the presentation back over to Leslie for an update on the North Fork Reservoir Spillway and Embankment Improvement Project.
Thank you, Jeremy. This next session will cover the North Fork Reservoir Spillway and Embankment Improvement Project. If you have participated in one of these sessions previously, some of this information may be a bit of a refresher for you. Project rationale. This project centers on the North Fork Dam, which was originally constructed in 1955. At the time, the dam design met industry standards and used available weather data. Weather, climate changes, and seismic activity have changed since the dam's original design. The hurricanes in 2004 showed that the dam's infrastructure could be improved. The city took the interim step to create a flood operations plan to guide the operation of the dam until a large-scale improvement project could be developed. In the last decade, advances in technology and data analytics have enabled engineers and scientists to better model and predict certain weather events based on environmental conditions. More accurate information is available now than ever before, and due to that, the best practices for modeling and simulating certain conditions have greatly improved. This information has allowed the city's consultants and engineers to simulate a variety of possible scenarios for extreme storm events. These models and design parameters are required by the North Carolina Department of Environmental Quality Dam Safety of all regulated high-hazard dams. Based on the outcomes of these scenarios, the engineers identified needed improvements to help protect the dam and the water source. These improvements are necessary to meet regulatory standards and design requirements set by the North Carolina Department of Environmental Quality Dam Safety Division. It is interesting to know that the North Fork Reservoir and the water treatment plant serves as the city's primary drinking water source, providing 70% of Asheville's water. With so many people, businesses, and industries dependent on this critical natural resource, special care and proactive measures need to be taken to ensure our water source and associated infrastructure are protected and preserved. In a continued effort to prevent significant damage in the event of a natural disaster, and to ensure that the city is able to provide safe and dependable drinking water for years to come, the City of Asheville and Schnabel Engineering began design work in 2012. The project's primary objectives: strategically address the regulatory standards and current requirements set by the North Carolina Department of Environmental Quality Dam Safety Division, increase overall hydraulic capacity of the spillway system, reinforce the main and saddle dams, protect the drinking water source for the City of Asheville, which ensures the health of the community, infrastructure resiliency, directly affecting the safety of a larger community, achieve the best solution on the smallest footprint, remove the human decision-making element in favor of an automatic system. I'd like to talk to you about a few key components of the project. The first one being the new auxiliary spillway, which is designed with 8-cycle fuse gates. We've updated the access road and installed a new bridge. Because of this project, we were also able to update the water line that feeds Black Mountain. We have made improvements to the saddle dam by raising the height of the saddle dam, improving the grading and the drainage. And to the main dam, we have multiple improvements. First, we improved the raw water intake tower. We've reduced seismic effects caused by earthquakes by buttressing the main dam with earth fill from the auxiliary spillway excavation. This improvement on the main dam allows for easier maintenance of the embankment slopes. It allowed us to install internal filters and tow drains for seepage collections and monitoring. It allowed us to install up-to-date electronic measuring devices. We have since completed the conduit vault extension, and we have added a 4-foot parapet wall across the top of the main dam, which allowed for the auxiliary spillway to be 100 feet smaller. We have rehabilitated the existing principal spillway by removing the old radial gates and replacing them with 2 fixed weirs and a new crest gate. We have provided a 6-inch overlay of the chute and installed a new bridge. So some of you are familiar with seeing this picture from previous engagement meetings. This was a rendering of what we thought the project would look like in the end. You'll see on the right side of this graphic is the new auxiliary spillway. And then you'll also notice on the left side on the main dam that there's a small gray line. That's the parapet wall. So these pictures are the original graphics that we used at the beginning of the project, again, just to show you the different aspects. This one is the main dam, and it's just showing you the parapet wall and the principal spillway chute. When one talks about dams, we refer to upstream and downstream sides. So the upstream side is the lake, and the downstream side would be facing towards the facility. So this is the downstream portion of the main dam, and in this we just wanted to let you get a better visual of the principal spillway that has the 6-inch overlay. This is looking facing up the spillway. And this graphic again just demonstrates the 4-foot parapet wall that was added, which allowed us to shrink the footprint of the auxiliary spillway. These pictures were taken during the project's construction, and so we'll just kind of roll through them so you can see the progress that's been made. I first wanted to thank Monroe Gilmore for sending us this picture, and this is early on in the project, and it's just showing the area of excavation for the auxiliary spillway. This was back about winter 19, and again, this is where we're excavating the area to begin to build the auxiliary spillway. I'm very proud of this nice soil nail wall because one, it meant that we didn't have to excavate it further back on that mountain, and we did try to make it look a little bit more natural by adding some texture to it. This is the beginning of the construction of the auxiliary spillway and the pillars that are between the fuse gates and hold up the bridge. And this is about a third of the way through the project. And what you will notice here are these fuse gates to the right. The area behind that, which is dry, actually all that was removed. That's a temporary earthen dam. And water will fill in the back of these cycles of fuse gates, and the concrete will go all the way down to the bottom left here. And so those are fuse gates on your upper right and the spillway chute. And to give you an idea of how much earth was moved during the project, this is an example of one of the storage areas for the earth. So everything that was excavated for the auxiliary spillway was then used to buttress the main dam. You can't really tell maybe how tall this mound is, but it's at least 3 stories high. This is looking upstream on the principal spillway, and this is just the gentleman working to do the 6-inch overlay of the chute. This is looking upstream at the partial construction of the new weirs on the principal spillway. And so, current project status, we expect that substantial completion will be the end of August, beginning of September, with final completion of the project being the end of October. So what does all this mean to us? When the dam was constructed in the 1950s, its sole purpose was to provide clean water for the city and the region. The dam sits on a protected watershed of 15,000 acres, which will never be developed for homes or recreational use. The watershed has a designation as a Class 1 watershed of high-quality water. Flooding was occurring in the region prior to and after the dam construction. The watershed behind the dam is 17% of the land that makes up the total Swannanoa watershed. The lake contributes just 21% of the water into that watershed. After the floods in 2004 and in response to the extensive damage that occurred, the city took measures to try to help mitigate flooding through adaptive use of the dam. The city adopted a temporary flood operation plan to meet design storm requirements, and since 2007, the city has been operating under this temporary flood operation plan. The city also undertook extensive stormwater infrastructure improvements citywide to help mitigate the flooding issues. Now that the improvements have been made on the dam, the city will no longer need to use the dam to control the flow of water to protect the dam infrastructure. The dam will now be safe for extreme design storm event and be able to pass flows without overtopping the dam. The new improvements foster a water in, water out model where the dam self-regulates the flow of water. So in summary, the new modifications will now protect the dam and the reservoir for severe storm events without overtopping the dam that could have resulted in the loss of the dam and dire consequences downstream. The city will continue to follow its current emergency action plan, and the 100-year special flood hazard area hasn't changed. Those of you that had the opportunity to submit questions before the presentation was created, we hope that we have answered most of those, but realize that some of them couldn't be answered during the presentation. So we have added the answers at the end of this presentation. The first section deals with sort of the facts and figures of the construction, and I will let you read that at your leisure. The second group of questions deals with the classification of our watershed as a pristine water source. The last group of questions deals with residents' concern regarding North Fork Road, North Fork Left Fork Road, and North Fork Right Fork Road. The city has been working with the North Carolina Department of Transportation to document areas that need to be improved. Wright Fork Road was already on their list to be repaved. At this time, we are still in conversations with them, and we do not have a schedule ready to present to area residents. So if your question didn't get answered, please contact us through the North Fork Dam at asheville.nc.gov site. And if you want to look at the project page, that link is listed here also. Any questions that we get after this presentation, we will update them on the frequently asked questions section of the project page. The City of Asheville would like to thank you for taking time to review this presentation and the North Fork Dam Improvement Project. Again, thank you.